Blurry.
Three,
two,
one.
One. Hey, welcome to another edition of Indian Cine-MANIACS. What's going on, Maniacs?
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Wow.
How you doing?
Long time
Another
no see.
hiatus.
I know it was a long movie. It took us 3 weeks to watch it.
I don't know. Was it that long? 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, that movie. Sita Raman. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're also added a viewer wheel to the mix. John took 40 films and collated down to 10.
More than 40. It
was a lot of
films.
John.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work.
I took a lot of heat, too.
You did.
People weren't happy.
People get upset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like
Who picked
my
that
name is
stupid film.
My name is Khan. The name is everyone.
No. A lot of people chose that film.
Right. I understand.
That's right.
I got the joke.
Yeah. No, not one Amir Khan movie out of all
I saw that.
That's because you watched them all in your other show.
That bummed me out, man. I was like, nothing.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to spin the wheel for the viewer. The viewer pick the 10 new movies that are going to be up there. So this is pretty exciting.
Now, Ralph, I do have a question. So I have everybody's blurb that they had to do to get us to watch their film.
Okay.
So we should do that before we review the show, right? Like we pick one tonight, we should do it the next show. Would
you want to do the blurb when it spins and whoever comes up? Do you want to read the blurb then, or do you want to wait till the next show?
I don't know. What does everyone think? I don't care.
I actually like the idea of reading the blurb when the movie hits on the spinner.
Yeah, that's what I think tonight.
Okay, tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Cool. That might make people watch till the end.
Do I have them all here? I don't know if I have them all here. All right.
If they'll make people watch, we should do the wheel in the other show.
Why don't we just do the wheel now? Then,
no.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
who wants to describe Sita Raman? Sita Raman. How do I pronounce it?
Sita Raman.
Sita Raman, isn't it?
Sita Raman.
Yeah, I think
so.
And
there were no noodles in it.
Oh, my God. Is this? Okay. All right. Drew, go ahead. Why don't you describe this one, please?
So this is a big sweeping across 20 years romance across religious lines about an Indian officer and a Muslim princess who he doesn't know is a princess, and how they meet and connected and fell in love, and what happened to them, and it all is through the task given to Afreen, who is a young woman who's gotten herself into some trouble. Her grandfather has just died and says, I want you to deliver this letter.
A military man.
Yeah. And it's a letter that you need to deliver across different countries' lines and everything. And so she goes to deliver the letter and uncovers the story. And I mean, there's elements of familiar movies in it, like The English Patient and things like that. They're just across these giant sweeping romances, but it's a question of what will happen in the present, which is Afreen's time, which is the 80s, and what actually happened back in the 60s, and will the letter be delivered, will the love be forever? And it's a humongous hit movie.
It was a big hit.
Yeah, it was a very big hit.
It's strange because a lot of people told us we weren't going to like it.
Well, a lot of movies are big hits. They're not necessarily good. I mean, this is a sort of big, sweeping, traditional Hollywood kind of romance. It's a familiar form, and I think it does a very good job at doing that. But that's not for everyone.
Well, talk about familiar Hollywood form. To me, the movie it reminds me most of is Citizen Kane, with this
never heard of that.
Interviewing people and getting a different view of Ram and the story from the perspective of the various people she runs across, but without any cynicism or humor.
There's some
strong writing.
Oh, I think we know where you stand on this one.
There was some humor in this film, the first half especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the person who said that we wouldn't like this one. And I think for me it had to do with the sappiness of it. Ram was just too good. I mean, he was just such a bright light and happy and just too good. And then technically, I was having trouble figuring out what time frame I was in, because nothing changed. Like dress didn't change, color didn't change. They didn't do anything to differentiate the fact that I'm now 20 years, other than I guess Ram. Once I should have known that Ram is in there, so it's 20 years earlier or whatever it was. But by the end of it, when we see the princess again, she looks exactly like she did 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
So it's like they weren't even trying to do that. And I know, like I said, Ram was there, so I know I should have known what was going on. But it was confusing me a little bit when they were jumping back and forth between. And I frankly just wasn't. I mean, I think John and I talked about this, and he was like, if you get through the first 45 minutes, the payoff is going to be fantastic. And I was like, yeah, payoff's okay. I mean, I kind of figured it out what the payoff was going to be, but it didn't.
You did?
Yeah, it didn't leave me with any. I didn't feel like it was a huge twist that was.
It depends. There were a number of different twists and payoffs, as you.
Well, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it
was
got
one
watered
big
down.
payoff.
Well, the big one, which was the girl, right?
Right.
Yeah. 1-0, by the way, Rangers. So first inning. Just want to let you guys know.
Wait,
wasn't
Indian
because
fans
of
know what you're
walks,
talking about, Ralph?
We're talking about the Orioles. I don't know if you can tell, but the Orioles are in the playoffs. They're down 2 games. I hate these 5-game series, by the way. I always hated them. I hate them even more because you get down 2, you're done for the most part.
No, my view is it should be a 7-game series until we win.
Well, weren't they best out of 3 at one point?
15.
No, the wild card was 1 game.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, then
I mean,
there's a
it's
best
better
out
than that.
Then there was a best out of 3, right?
Right. And then they went, but now they're best out of 5.
Well, we actually really won the division, so we're entitled to more games.
By we, you mean the Orioles or you? Are you
Yeah,
on the
me.
team? Yeah. Okay.
Me.
All right.
So
So
for our Indian fans who
Well,
know
let's
nothing about this,
It's cricket, but
we're going to
different.
save this for the next show.
it's just like cricket, but different.
Look, my feeling on this film, and I'll make this real simple. I thought it was a tale of 2 films. I thought the first half of the movie, I had a lot of trouble getting through. There wasn't a lot happening. It was a love story. I got that, but it was very, very slow. I definitely faded a little bit. But for me, the second half that got much more serious and had a lot more twists and turns to it, I thought the payoff it kept my interest in the second half of the movie. And I did not foresee some of the twists, like who the real bad guy was, who the real traitor was. I didn't see that. And who the identity of the girl was who was on this mission to deliver this letter. So for me, that made up for the first part of the movie. Once I got past that first half, which I got to say, I said this to Ralph, it was a slog to get through it for me. It definitely picked up in the second half, and I was much more into it in the second half of the film. Not to his point, they go 20 years ahead, and Sita looks, they put a little powder in her hair, but she looked exactly the same as 20 years earlier. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, but to his point, you get confused with the timelines because there's not a distinct difference. So that did get a little confusing. They were hopping back and forth. But yeah, for me, I thought the second, and I think if I remember, there was a commenter who actually said that, who said like the second half is the best part of the film. But it was true because that first half, it was a cute love story, but it was just hard to get through. I was definitely dropping the lid a few times there.
Yeah, I mean, he was adorable. I mean, John laughed at me when I said that, but of course she was. But I'm just saying, he was a happy-go-lucky dude. Everything he did was wonderful and perfect. And I don't know, other than going in and killing a whole village or whatever.
Well, but he also saved.
I know he did, but this,
and as a result, got captured.
I'm back to the point where I don't know who the terrorists are, who should we be rooting for in these cases.
That's always tough in these movies.
Yeah, and that's where I get a little bit kind of confused. So they go in and wipe out a whole village, and yeah, he redeemed himself by saving that girl, but it's still there's a lot of shocking things going on.
Who wiped out a whole village?
Did they go in and kill a bunch of
No, they said we have to get the people out of this village. How do we get them out of the village? I know. I'll pretend to abduct their kid. So he
they
picked up the little
they went
kid.
in and killed a whole group of people.
He's talking about in
the terrorist
the
camp.
final act.
Not the first
the end.
village.
Okay,
The second
gotcha.
village.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I mean,
it's one of
it's
these
set in
films.
Kashmir, which is, I mean, so beautiful, and you know, it's hard for people to talk. I think about Kashmir and the conflicts over time between India and Pakistan without a lot of passion. There are other conflicts in the world that are going on right now that people have similar difficulty talking about dispassionately, and I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot of the history. But you know, India and Pakistan were one nation under British control, and then when India declared independence, there was a huge transfer of populations, and Pakistan became more Muslim, and India became more Hindu, and then they've been at odds to one degree or another since then. And so to set this kind of small human story in this giant canvas, that's why it felt like English Patient, Atonement, one of these things where, you know, they don't lose the big scale, but it's definitely it is the tale of two movies. Like English Patient, I think, is not a good movie, but the part with Juliette Binoche is way better than the part with Ralph Fiennes. It's just a matter of the characters, and like Afreen is less engaging to me than the people that we see in the '60s. But you know, I didn't see coming that, you know, she was a little girl and all that kind of stuff. But you know, that made it feel like a movie, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, my view is okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, as I was joking, it's been 3 weeks, and it took me 3 weeks to watch this movie. You know, it would normally take Auntie and I like sometimes 2 nights to watch a movie because we'll start late. But this movie I probably watched. I had to sit down to 5 times to watch it because I found the first half of the movie utterly unengaging completely. You know, it's just like, to me, it looked like the idiot plot. You know, it's like, you know, for one thing, I didn't buy until we found out why she's writing these letters to him and she seems to be in love with him. And then finally, when they showed a flashback and he saved her, you know, it's sort of like, oh, okay. And then, you know, she's a princess and he doesn't realize it. No, what is this? Roman holiday. And
Right.
that's like such a big deal. But, you know, ultimately, it doesn't pay off at all that she's the princess and he's not, because that isn't why they're separated or anything. You know, that was just a romantic. You can see a lot of these movies on Hallmark. You know, if you go and look at the list of Hallmark films, they're all Christmas movies, and about a quarter of them are, you know, a royal or a billionaire with an average girl, or a girl with an average guy. You know, and that didn't really matter to the plot at all. You know, I mean,
except the newspaper, she was dating a normal guy. That whole thing.
And of course, Ram never reads the newspaper,
right?
Or it would have been. It's like no one. She's like this famous individual, but they're like going around together, and no one's like saying, "Oh, the princess, nice to meet you, princess."
But at one point, he showed her the newspaper with her picture.
What?
At one point, he showed her a newspaper with her picture on it as a princess. So at some point, he had known before she told him. Don't you remember that scene?
There's a scene after
by the bathtub.
That's is that a real scene or is that an imaginary scene?
I thought it was real.
Now I want to talk about that scene too in particular. You know, it's like something that's like that they're just doing for it's a great shot. It's like, you know, if I die, I'm going to be buried. And he falls back they go to the overhead shot, which they never do. And he goes into the water because it's a great shot and it splashes. Then he gets up and she pulls him in. Then it's obviously not in a tub. It's like they're just doing this because it looks good. It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, what is it, a movie?
Yeah, what is it? You know, but it got more interesting. And I will say I found the last 40 minutes of it pretty compelling. But then I felt really cheated by the ending. It's like, I guess, can we spoil it? It's 2022 or something. He's dead, he's dead. And it's sort of like, okay, they had all this fantasy, unreal stuff difficult to buy, and they're not going to kill them together in the end.
I was shocked by that. I was shocked that they actually killed him. and I didn't expect.
Well,
it
he
at all.
killed himself. Yeah, but
Well, did he? I mean, they showed the noose, the shadow of the noose, but is that because he went in and just killed himself, or he was going to?
yeah, and
Did they
it's
give
also
him? I forget. Did they give him a choice? I forget how
I
that
don't-
played out.
I don't
John
remember.
didn't
It's
even
also-
remember seeing the noose. The noose
I
was-
don't. I don't remember
Yeah.
them addressing. I just assumed because he was the prisoner, they eventually killed him. Because
No,
Well,
they had-
remember-
he walked in a room and there was a shadow of a noose.
I
on
didn't. Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't,
well, he knew he was because he wrote this letter. He knew he was going to die.
right.
So that's why I assume it was him. But here's the most ridiculous thing: the guy who was the traitor was
Yeah.
like, "Please, whatever you do, don't kill him, or don't torture him, or kill him." And that's insane because he's got to think that eventually this guy is going to talk to another Indian prisoner if they just keep him in jail, and he's going to say what happened, or he's going to say it to somebody who would get the word out, some other prisoner or something.
Well, that's why
so-
you realize why he was so adamant about trying to find the girl in the letter, and why
Yeah.
he ends up killing himself in the end.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, I mean, so far, I will say that this is probably the film I've liked the least of all of them.
Everyone we've watched, this is the one you've liked the least.
Yeah. Because the first half did not hold me.
yeah,
It
I
was
found the
just-
first half.
It was just too slow and too
Yeah.
cutesy,
Yeah.
despite the whole tense political background and everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been better if they had like a snowmobile that transformed into a jet ski or something like that?
Yes.
Wouldn't have hurt.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you've been silently watching the game, and
Oh, is that what he's doing?
yeah.
He's watching the game.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh man.
So go ahead, Chris.
I didn't get to see the movie because I've been watching the Baltimore Orioles in the playoffs, so I didn't get to watch
It's
this.
been a long time coming, so don't.
It has been.
But commercial break, so go.
Exactly. Here we go. My 2.5 minute review. No, my issue, it's going to sound very similar to everybody else's. I felt that you see, you guys keep saying the second half, and I feel like it was the last third.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
you're
more
right.
accurate. You're right.
The-
You're right.
The romance part of this movie could have been a solid 20 minutes, and that would have been a little too long. It is interminable. Like I like you, Sean. I just finished it today, even though we had extra weeks, because it just was like it took me a long time to get into it. Like the opening part, okay, he's in Kashmir. You've got this terrorist guy who's willing to sacrifice his own people to kind of start a whole thing, and this guy through his humanity is able to stave that off by saving people, and the people of the village realize that he's not a terrible person. He's not some Indian army, heartless Indian army machine. Okay, I'm down with that. And then the girl, she burns the Rolls Royce early on, and then I just kind of lost the thread there, and she just seems to disappear for long periods of time. And I remember at one point, and I admit watching a movie in 5 different parts is not the way to do it. But
That's big of you.
yeah. But coming back to it, I was just I remember at one point I was like, wait a minute, what happened to the girl who burned that Rolls Royce? And then she shows up at the end, and the ending definitely picks up. But honestly, by the time I got there, I was checked out. I was putting
But
in
to be fair, let's be fair.
Mhm.
Watching it in 5 segments is going to
Agreed.
change your entire view of the film, right?
I think I watched it in 5 as
Yeah.
well.
But
Agreed.
but then what? Why do you think that is? I mean, because
No, I get
We
why
all
the
love
first
movies.
the first
we all
hour and a
love to
half
watch them.
was so slow, but it definitely. I mean,
I kept
it's going
falling
to
asleep.
gonna
I had to
impact that
keep
last third.
rewinding it.
I'm not gonna lie, I
I'm-
watched some of this on the train on the way.
Oh my
to work.
God!
I'm sorry, but that middle section is just so long, and it seems to be the same basic idea over and
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah,
You're
I
going
mean
to
that's
marry me. No, I'm not.
Over again. It really killed me. Because the funny thing is I kind of liked the layout. I liked the dramatically, narratively. I like what they were doing at the end of the movie. And I get, and how it played in with the beginning of the movie. I like the idea that she's got, the young lady's got this task and everything. But by the time I got there, I was just so like, all right, I had lost interest is what it comes down to.
I needed that final Red Bull.
Was that segment 3 that you felt that way? Segment 2 or segment 4?
Oh,
well, the funny
it's
you thought of it like a miniseries.
You fell asleep. You were falling asleep.
I swear, I watched the whole thing straight through, honest to God. But I will tell you, definitely the first hour, I just was not into it. It was just like nothing was happening, and I just was like, "There's got to be," because I remember someone saying that the second half is better. And again, Chris, you're right; it's more like 1/3. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I did like the last third of the movie. But I could see if you spread it out by a week or 2 or 7 days, it's definitely going to impact.
But ultimately, were you satisfied with the ending of the film?
I would say this to you. This is what I would say to you. Where I would probably rate this like 2 Ledoux. I would give it 3 now because for me, the last 45 minutes paid off me putting up with that other stuff. I really did like it. I liked the twist because I didn't see him coming. So yeah, it did change. It did change my opinion of this film, where I don't think I would have liked it very much. I mean, two Ledoux is not very good.
But being an Indian film, I was expecting him not to get killed. I was expecting something to happen that those two would end up together. I mean, I'm going to admit, I'm a sap. I wanted them to end up together. I'm invested in this romance that was so important to everything in this film, and then to have that scene. Who's the guy that was with the young woman through her whole trip?
Oh yeah, her friend there. Her friend there.
Who busts at the end? Who busts into the princess's house? They just let him roll in, and show the letter, and then they do that trope where at the end where she's with him at the end, like his ghost or whatever it is, or the memory that she
and
has.
They start doing a pot
by the bathtub. No. That's
like a Force ghost.
That's a good film with that idea. But I don't know. I was invested, of all the investments, it's the romance. And then they kill him off, and there's no romance.
I think that was a cheat. I didn't see
it that way. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it that way either.
It was the payoff of the letter. The fact that they wanted to get the letter to her.
Wouldn't you have liked to seen him meet that young woman that he saved?
Well, yeah, of course, but that was the point of the twist at the end. He didn't, and that's when you find out it's her.
It could have been the story. The fact that they didn't do it is what we're questioning.
I disagree with you. I think that
cynicism. I'm shocked at you.
I might have been complaining that it was this trope that they do where he's got to meet her.
Well, probably because you were watching on the phone on the subway. I mean,
no. I watched it through once, and then I watched it on the train again.
Wait a minute.
Like Chris, yes, because there's things I wanted to catch up on. That's all.
So you watched the whole movie once.
Yep.
And then, wait a minute, I got to see your face because I'm not buying that for 1 second.
Put your glasses on.
You watched the whole thing
and then there were scenes I wanted to watch to just get
so you went back and watched some scenes.
Yeah.
See what you're doing? You're doing what we call a microburst, okay? Every time you say that, you're looking down, which means you're lying. There's no way you watched this through one time. I don't buy it for 1 second.
You buy all you want, but that's what I did.
You'd be a terrible spy.
Because I can't lie. I'm not a liar.
I know.
But no, I did.
He's an editor, Dan.
I watched it once, almost all the way through.
Okay. You were buying it now. Okay.
I love it.
I think it's the right ending because the whole story, you don't know this until you get to the end. The whole story hinges on a decision that Ram makes that is the right decision to save the life of some kid he doesn't know. And it spins out the rest of the story that you don't realize you've already been watching. And I mean, if you compare it to Roman Holiday, they don't get together in the end.
Right.
They cannot be together. I think that's a conscious echo of that. And there are other movies of varying quality that they don't end up together. Like it's not a great movie, but Cold Mountain, Jude Law and Nicole Kidman are separated the whole time, and then they finally get together, and I marry you, and then they kill him. And so you got a taste of it, but what I think is good is that they did get together in the end in the way the movie let you do it, because the whole movie is about these letters, and you don't really know the truth until you find out who's writing them and why. And so the very last letter gives her the end of the story, and also, of course, changes the life of this young woman who we've been following as she's crankily just trying to get some money so she can pay off the repair for something she did in a protest. And I didn't love it. I do think the beginning is a little slow. But I'm with you, John. I think it came together nicely. It was satisfying. And the one thing that I was a little disappointed in, and I may watch it again or listen to some of it. A lot of stuff on the internet and some of the things in comments, they're like the songs. I found a lot of the songs that they were nice. None of them jumped out at me.
Yeah,
Weren't they also
think of?
Weren't they dead on too? They were just explaining what was going
They're
on.
always-
this
I mean,
isn't the first
they're
time.
always
for
dead
that.
They're not always like that, but this one in
most of them.
particular, I
But none
felt
of them.
like-
Drew's right. None of them like stood out. Like, oh yeah, I remember. I'm humming the tune afterwards. There was nothing like
Right.
that.
even
There
their
are
dance.
movies
Didn't
that
she
I
do a
haven't-
couple dance numbers too?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and also listen. I mean, the cast is charming.
yeah.
The
Very
two leads are
beautiful
very
people.
charming, and that goes a long way in a romantic story, in a war torn story, all these kinds of things. So I'm glad that I watched it. I'm glad that I watched it in significantly less than 5 segments across a week and a half. I'm not telling you how to watch movies, but I think this is a big sweeping film, and so I'm glad that I watched it. In the dark on a large television, but I think it was a nice recommendation, and a nice recommendation to finish that last round of what our fans asked.
Yeah,
us
that
to
was a
watch.
viewer
So
choice,
thank you.
right? Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
look,
thank you,
listen,
Krishan.
listen.
Krishan,
They're all,
thank you very much.
They're all nice recommendations, 100%. And we can sit here and I love that we're watching these films, but I have to. I'm going to go and kind of defend Chris here. When I see a movie that's 2.5, 3 hours long, and my worry is, if I don't get this, if I don't start getting into this within 45 minutes, then I'm going to start
Totally
doing.
fair.
I'm going to start doing what I'm going to watch this later. I can't because if
But that's
it
true of
catches
any
me-
movie, right? That's
But
true of any
these
movie.
these in particular, because I don't
Because they're
know,
longer or because they're Indian.
because they're Indian, and I'm waiting because there's many that when I bust through that, the reward is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it's eye opening. It's just wonderful. When the reward isn't as like that, and it's like, ugh, I spent all that time, and this is the end. And the guy, and I'm a sucker. I want Ram to live because I'm
Wow.
invested in that guy,
I'm shocked at
and
that.
I love
I
that
am.
guy. And I'm like, they killed him. This is the
I
guy
thought
they
you
killed?
wanted him to get tortured
me
on
off.
camera.
No, not
You
at
love
all.
that.
I love that guy. But so
Go ahead, Chris. Chris wants to say something.
I was gonna say like that was not to sound dark, but that was like my favorite part of the movie because it was a surprise. Like I was
It was a
not
surprise,
expecting-
yes.
Yeah, it was a total surprise. Like I was not expecting that to happen. You don't see that in a lot of films, let alone Indian films. So I was not expecting that. And like I said, I mean, I actually didn't find I actually found the first 30 minutes pretty engaging. There was a lot going on. My issue is that like quite literally, an hour and 40 minutes of this movie in the middle just killed it for me. And I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good. Like I
like the ending.
look of the girl. I thought it was kind of neat the way that the other guy was the traitor. All of that stuff made it worked for me. It was just one of those things where that middle part just really just killed me, and because that middle part was over half the film, well over half the film. I think if you count the minutes.
Well, I also think probably knowing you didn't like it, so it was boring. But also, you were probably like, "Ugh, are these guys going to ever get together?" And when they didn't, that was super exciting for your darker take on the films, because it was a surprise. But also, I mean, it's not a happy ending for the man. But it is, I think, a happy ending of the story of knowing the truth, of having his name restored, and all these other things. But it is, I don't know. I didn't expect it. Maybe that was more of a
With a letter delivered by the
expected.
enemy, right? It was by the enemy that letter came from.
Yeah,
One of his captains.
I mean, yeah, the Afrin's from Pakistan.
Yeah.
Her grandfather is the one.
and
who
you guys
never
were not.
delivered
I mean,
it.
I know you were. I'm not gonna. I know you were. You weren't sad for her not like her love of her life.
I got to tell you,
Sure.
Ralph, for like
It was
2
sad.
nights, I wrestled with it, but then I said that would have been a different movie.
I wanted them to get back together.
I can't believe you. I'm shocked
I know.
at this from
I
you.
know. Because I love 70s American films with like bitter endings and but I'm expecting in an Indian film.
I thought you'd want him to be a serial killer who ends up killing Sita.
I would like that. But
that would have been. Now that would have been a movie.
David Fincher directed it.
Yeah, in the prison he starts eating bugs and he takes out his friend and all that stuff, and he ends up, I don't know. I'll admit it, I'm a sucker. I was
you
expecting,
softy, you.
yeah. But that's why I didn't like it. So that's why I say two Ledoux. I'm going two Ledoux on this
Two
one.
Ledoux.
Two Ledoux.
Well, I told you I give it three Ledoux. The ending, that last third did it for me.
All right, Drew, show them. Let's go. Pull them up.
I'm going to go with 3 Ledoux, and I'm going to eat one of them right
no.
now. Thank you, Harmon.
Oh, you got them from a viewer?
No, did you?
What do they taste
somebody
like?
At work. Somebody at work.
What do they taste like? I'm dying to know.
Let them finish.
I know. Is it rice? What is it inside? Oh God! Here we go. It's gonna take forever now.
4-0, Chris.
4-0. They're going down, down, down.
It's 1-0.
These are, I think it's pronounced mochichor. These are mochichor.
must be like literally,
sesame,
man.
So what?
Chickpea flour.
What do they taste like?
It's chickpea flour and it's sweet.
Oh,
You don't dip them in anything. You
specified.
just take them as.
I mean,
as is?
you can, but in a lot of the movies, they just pass them out to the kids in
Yeah.
the street type of thing.
All right.
They
So
give-
Sean, how many Ledoux for you?
Is it? Do we go to 5 or 4?
5. I mean, how many
well,
times
that's
do you say
at
this?
least the last 2 months we have.
He gets.
I'm
he gets
gonna
confused with
go
Ebert.
with I'm gonna go with 2 because the end was strong.
All right, Chris.
Otherwise, I'd been 1.
You know what? I am going to go with 2 as well. Like I said, if I actually like the beginning. Like the first 30 minutes I thought was strong, and then I just felt like it just kind of wallowed in the middle. And then by that time I was like,
I wallow in the middle.
but the ending was good. Like I said, that's why I'm a little.
Stop eating Ledoux.
I'm going to go with 2.
All right, 2. Have we seen any of these actors in anything like Rom?
Yeah, the girl was just in. The lead actress was just in like one of the last films we saw.
Really? Oh,
I didn't recognize any of them.
yeah, me neither.
But someone will say you saw her in. They always tell us if we miss it. So,
Let me ask this before we spin the wheel, John. Did you get any viewer questions that we were going to do?
no, I haven't. So that we'll remind it. Listen, the problem also is we've gone a couple. We keep stopping. So I'm going to just remind everybody. We want to add a segment to the show, or at the end we answer 1 or 2 questions. So if you have any questions for it, put it in the comment sections. We should be doing a show next week, Ralph.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Sweet,
So
enough
we'll
then.
answer 1 or 2 next week. So
And if you guys want to ask me to eat something,
Yes.
I like food. So
yes, if you want to send something to the PO boxes that Drew and I both got that no one says anything.
I don't think those Ledoux are going to
Feel
last
free.
that long if you keep eating them for the reviews.
I've got a 1-year contract, so I've got plenty of time with that PO.
But wait, do we have any questions? Anybody have a question? You want to ask a question?
Ralph, people have been very concerned about your mental health while this whole thing's been going on. And they want to know that everything's good with you. You're not going to give up the show. You're committed to it. And that everything in your personal life is going very well.
I'll answer that in 2 steps. Okay. I'm not going to give up the show.
Okay, good.
Everything in my personal life is not perfect, but it's all good.
But you're in a good place.
I'm in a great place.
And you're having fun still doing the show.
I love the show.
Because we know your
This
rule.
one. I love this one.
You know your rule. If you're
No,
not
I love
having
the other
fun,
one too.
you're not doing it.
If I get bored,
Oh, that's right. If you get
I stop
bored.
doing it. So I don't want to get bored.
Or if we do a ladies' night.
Oh, well.
Oh my God. Then no, I think 6-0.
Oh.
I think the
You
season's
might-
over.
Kidding me.
you might not have watched it, but the lead actress was in the Hindi language version of Jersey.
Oh,
She played
of
his
Jersey.
wife.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
of
Hindi
Jersey.
version of Jersey.
I saw
Yeah,
both.
I
of
watched,
them.
I
didn't
watched
see
the
her.
Telugu. I watched
Yeah,
Telugu,
we
so I
wa-
didn't-
well, we
I
watched
didn't watch
both.
that, so.
I watched
So she
both.
must have been the
I did
wife. She must have been the wife. in that.
She's Arjun's wife.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
Kitu's mother.
Yeah.
see. Chris is always next year.
You know,
Hey, just getting nominated is an honor. They had a hell of a season.
These
I
100
mean,
win.
This was an
teams.
unbelievable season.
All right,
100 win teams are having
let's
lots of
talk
trouble.
about that sixer that guy hit.
How many
Let's
times?
just add-
How many times did we hear you talk about Tom Brady? So back off, okay?
But everybody
Tom
knows
who?
Tom Brady. Not everyone knows the Baltimore Orioles.
All right, let's go
That's
now.
why it's so amazing.
Oh, 7-0. No, I'm just kidding. Let's now go to the wheel of viewer picks.
These are the 10 now as I said before, and I put a special video out for it. These, out of all the movies that you guys suggested, these were the 10, and we picked them for various reasons. Could we stream it? We talked about it. Those are the picks. It doesn't mean that the other picks weren't good, but they're on a separate list. We're going to do 10 and 20-ish. I've already done one. I got another one posting tonight. So we will review those in one way or another. So please, I implore you, don't whine because your film's not on it, okay? We will
Or get angry
again.
or unsubscribe because we didn't pick it. I
Well,
mean,
some
yeah.
people do. And the other thing is, look, if you didn't sell your movie to us and you just said, watch this movie, we didn't put it on the list. So I'm just telling you
Right.
that up front. So I think we've got a pretty good list, though. It's a pretty eclectic list,
All
I
right,
have to
so
say.
John, when I
Well,
spin the wheel,
wait a
Go
minute.
ahead.
I just want to say, if you're thinking of unsubscribing, go to my channel, Sean Paul Murphy, and subscribe there.
Oh, my God.
Continue, sorry.
It's very
But if
uplifting.
you're
That channel is
depressed,
very
if you're
uplifting.
depressed at all, I do not go to that channel, okay? Because you are going to sink to depths you have never been in your life.
I will
Especially
say,
the one
though,
about
the
dying
quality-
or being dead.
the quality is amazing, unlike
Yeah.
the camera you're on now.
On
I
his
don't
own
understand what's
channel.
going on. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, John, when we spin the wheel and the winner comes up, we would like you to read the blurb. that
Okay,
they,
you got
okay?
it.
All right,
Yep.
so let's go to the wheel.
That's
All
a
right, so
lot of films right there.
That's 10 films.
That's
okay?
10 weeks, man.
That's it. 10 weeks of our life. Here we go.
But you have a lot more work, John. So
I know.
Here
That's
comes
all
the
right.
spin.
I can do 3 a week.
Now, John, I'm going to spin it, and then let me get back to us
Okay.
before you
Yep,
read the blurb.
I got it.
Ooh. Now, just so you know, I cut and pasted this. Agnipath.
Agnipath,
Is
yeah.
that literally 3 E's in there?
I doubt it. It's probably
Okay.
it's probably misspelling.
That was a cut and paste. And I'd like you to pronounce this name, John.
Yeah, you know, so there's something about I did this yesterday.
Satyam
It's Satyam Pandey,
Yep.
but the FK2CF means something. I don't know what it is, but it means
Okay.
something.
All right, so this is, John, the 2012 version.
Yeah, the one with Hrithik Roshan.
Okay. And
Uh,
you do or do not have the blurb.
I don't know why I don't have the blurb. I've got all the films with the blurbs, but I don't have that one. I don't know why. But anyway,
glitch.
it's, I,
It's a glitch.
you know what I'll do?
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
Hyundai, I'm sorry about this. FKC2F or whatever it is. A young boy's father is lynched before his eyes. 15 years later, he returns home for revenge. This
Sounds
is
like-
a film you are going to want to watch.
Well, it sounds like Once Upon a Time in the
In
West.
the West. And what's
Yeah.
that movie with Sharon Stone?
Oh, yeah.
Quick and the Dead.
quick in the
Quick
day.
and the Dead. Excellent
Yeah.
film.
I love these revenge type.
Yeah.
Come back and get the person.
I
who
can't
hung
believe
your
I don't
dad.
have this. That really bums me
I
out.
like it better when the person who was killed comes back and has revenge, like High Plains Drifter.
That's a good one. Well,
Pet
John,
Cemetery.
John, you'll find it, and then we'll read
Yeah.
it before we do the review
Yeah,
next week.
yeah. Okay, that's fair enough because I want to make
Okay.
sure I get the blurb. But
Yeah,
can't
because I
think-
feel bad. I mean, we said
Yeah,
we were
I do
gonna
too.
this, and then
I have all the movies. I don't know why I don't have that one.
okay.
I do
well,
want to. I do
go ahead.
want to make a bit of an announcement, in the sense. I don't know if people could tell my voice is hoarse, but on the 24th, I'm going to be having a throat operation, and I may not be allowed to talk
Oh,
for a while. But I'll be next show.
Definitely
I'll be
come on then.
Yeah.
well, you can do a lot with your face. You know what I'm saying? With your it's like pantomime.
And what I would really
those,
prefer is
one
that
of those-
Ralph just put that picture of that growth on my throat, which I sent
No,
you.
we're not going to do that.
In that picture.
Is there any chance that Debbie might take your spot if you had to?
Well, we'll see about that. I'll
Okay.
ask her.
Did Auntie watch this last movie, Cita Raman?
No, she was pretty busy.
Okay.
She didn't have 5 nights to spend on it.
All right, so wait, this operation is when? The 24th of October?
The 24th of October.
So we got a couple weeks
2023.
show to
Yeah.
do. Okay. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Okay? All right. Good job. The viewer choice wheel is on and active.
Yes.
We have 10
Thank
to
you
do.
for
We just picked
everybody.
one.
Thanks for everybody who gave us suggestions. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is amazing to feel like people care about us
Namaste.
enough to do this. So I
bitch,
really appreciate that.
Bitch, when we don't pick their films.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. That shows some emotion.
Well, that's what I
which
said.
is
In
very
fact, my
important.
defense.
Like Chris's emotion right now, the
I know he
Orioles are
can't
down
even
6-0,
focus. He can't even focus.
and it's only
My-
the top of the third.
Someone complained about a movie that was picked. Like, who picked this movie? This is a waste of time. And I defended it, saying, "Look, anyone who picked the movie picked it because they like this movie, right? And they're selling it to us. So just because we might not even like it, who knows? But you shouldn't pick on somebody's choice because it's a movie that they love.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll pick on it on the show.
well, maybe we will, but who
I
knows?
will say, other than Joel G, which I had problems with, this is really the first of the Indian films that I did not get into until the end. I will say so. It's been a fantastic run up until now.
Yeah, I can't say that. I'm glad you can, but I can't. So, anyway, it's good. It's all good. All new
is all
stuff. It's
Yep.
fantastic. All right. So you guys have a good week.
Yep.
We'll see you next week for the first of the viewer wheel, and then John will read the blurb when we do that film.
You got it.
All right, guys.
Good.
See you guys.
Have a
Hang
great
in there,
week.
Chris. It's going to be all right. Big comeback.
All right,
Big
Chris.
comeback.